Related. So, everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back with night 3 of the Trumplican National Convention. DeAndre will be joining us shortly. We are joined by the official 3+1 political commentators. Brother Charles Johnson, welcome, giving us a nice, conservatively moderate view.
Thanks.
But is that fair and accurate? As well as the one and the only Jermal Riggins, giving us a progressive, centrist progressive view as Dr. Pickett prepares to join. We just witnessed the final night of the Trumplican National Convention with the big end from the one and the only President Donald J. Trump. Jermal, what were your thoughts on this night?
So I'll be honest. I watched about 8 to 10 minutes of it, and I recognized some of the same kind of shallow appeals. So Stephen Miller wrote this speech. I don't need anybody to tell me that. I know it, because in all of his speeches, he tries to allude to past historical events in order to tie Donald Trump to great events in American history, almost trying to force the legitimacy of him, if you will. And you also recognize the shallow attempt at reaching out to the full Republican base. They hit the moms in the suburbs. They hit Black men who fawn over hypermasculinity at times, and they hit the conservative white men whom their true base actually rests on. So within the first 8 minutes, you knew where he was going. There was nothing there. It was not going to be anything there. Have you heard? Did you hear any new policy? No, but I heard about Sleepy Joe, and I heard about how they're tearing America down. I heard
Bernie.
Yeah, same stuff. Congratulations.
I didn't hear any policies, let alone new policies. I heard no policies. All I heard were exemplars of things that I had never seen happen, or like fabrications of events.
It was a State of the Union with the visitors and all of that. Like, let me call out this person. Yeah.
And again, I mean, the most glaring lie of the night was that Joe Biden was against the capture of Osama bin Laden. Donald Trump literally said that Joe Biden was against the capture of Osama bin Laden, although he was captured during the Obama administration.
And like with the real group in the war room, he said, with the unstaged picture in the.
Okay. Exactly. But I'm hoping that the fact checkers are going to share these photos and just blast it. Angela said that she literally cried tonight. Angela, why did you cry? And I want to know, did any of you cry tonight? DeAndre has on his Wakanda best. He is Wakanda ready tonight. He is ready to represent the nation.
I love it.
Brother Charles, Brother Charles, as our official conservative representative, what were your thoughts, and what's your take on tonight?
Well, the RNC on tonight and really throughout the week can be summed up in one word: fear. I mean, that's what this was all about. What the Democrats are gonna do. They're gonna take away your guns. They're gonna give us socialized medicine. They're going to defund police departments. Let me say it in my Trump voice. They're going to defund police departments all across the country. Fear. That's what the GOP is selling. Fear, and, of course, they pander to the Christian vote with the same wedge issues that they always use. They talked about abortion. And no GOP politician or administration is going to do anything about abortion. It's the law of the land. Every time they pass one of these wacky laws trying to restrict abortion, it gets struck down by federal courts. So it's just a bunch of fear mongering, and fear still sells I mean, let's of course look over the last 2 presidential elections before President Trump. President Barack Obama, of course, he was a historic figure. So there was historic voter turnout with certain elements of the Democrat base. That's how President Obama got elected. He's a historical figure. The GOP's been selling fear since Bush was running for office. Fear works. People are afraid about defund the police. That means there's not going to be any more police. That means nobody's going to come help me. And that's not even what it even means. But of course, they don't care about what stuff really means. They're selling a narrative, and that narrative is fear. Vote for us because you're afraid of what the other team's going to do. And it might work.
DeAndre, what do you think? Representing the nation of Wakanda.
Well, first of all, you are again playing into the foolishness that people do when people see people in African attire. So I'm just literally
Get him, DeAndre.
you are currently playing into the foolishness that the Trump talked about tonight. And so let's be very clear. I have been representing Wakanda before there was a Wakanda. So make sure I throw that out there as well.
All right now. Represents the Munda.
Listen, how about that? But tonight, honestly, I just came with facts. I came tonight. That's all I wanted to talk about tonight, because of the fact that I think tonight should more so not necessarily be about him. Well, it should be, but it should be about, again, because people are going to rewatch this.
The truth is,
people are going to rewatch this, and we have to make sure that the people who are rewatching this and the people who are literally listening to that we provide them with some opposites. Because again, people need to know exactly what was being said tonight, because they can think we've heard a lot of stuff, and some of it may have sounded wonderful. It may have sounded great. We heard about criminal reform. We heard about what he's done for the economy for Black people. We've heard what he's done for the coronavirus. We've heard what he's done for the Child Tax Act. We heard about what he said as pertains to American jobs. We heard about all these wonderful things. Howsoever, you heard portions that were good for him to talk about. We did not, however, hear the things that caused some of the issues or some of the things he did in order to get there, and who really benefit from it. So let's not start talking about this whole he did all this, because everybody didn't benefit for all this stuff that he talked about. Every Black person he talked about didn't benefit. Every Black community that he's talking about didn't benefit. So I'm here for it tonight, because I promise you, I was so much caught up in trying to do it. I had to stop writing because it was just so many lies. I couldn't keep up. So I'm here for it. So yes,
But I mean, what did you expect? Do you expect him to tell the truth?
sometimes, one time,
I mean, what do you expect?
8 times.
I don't really understand why everybody's upset, why the folks in the comments are crying. Like, were you shocked? Were you shocked that he stretched the truth beyond recognition? Were you shocked that he embellished details of some things that he did?
Charles, it can be alarming. Charles, it can be alarming when your people are being used as pawns and you see it. That is a huge, that whole shock thing that he does to Black people, like that continued, and I don't want to overuse the word trauma here, but it is what it is. He exploits almost every Black situation. I'm gonna piggyback off of our Wakanda, if you will, theme. We are a people of collective unity, but he actually preaches individualism. So all of that going out there into those individual instances in the audience had nothing to do with who we are as a collective. So yes, it is shocking and it is bothersome every time somebody takes our individual selves and uses it for their own personal gain. We're not going to talk about how many Black people were paraded with their individual attachments to him versus bringing our people up. We're not going to talk about
but
Carson talking about black women have the highest abortion rates out of context. We can talk numbers all day. And all of us work in fields where we come across stats and data. You can manipulate data to say whatever you want it to say. And while I recognize that our numbers are incredibly high, I would love to contextualize that around our poverty rate, our nobody, I want to say nobody, but our marriage rate, and the ability that we have to not only take care of ourselves, but to raise a child in the nurturing environment that it deserves. That is all I'm going to say about that, except for the fact that we get sick and tired of seeing us being used and re-traumatized. But carry on. We shouldn't be.
But but America's always done that.
Right. We're over.
So that's not a Trump thing. That's an America thing.
But nobody has had a platform to do that night after night after night.
For example, we have 6 black billionaires in the United States. 6 black billionaires. But the GOP and the Republicans will use those 6 as an example. See, look at Oprah. Look at Michael Jordan. Look at black. See, you can do it too. Now there are, when we look at facts and we look at the disparity and the wealth gap between your average black households and the average white households, this is including black people. You have 170,000 to 17,000. Now, what do we do about that gap? But the GOP doesn't want to talk about that, because then that will require, as you said, a contextualizing of the numbers that they use. But look, we've always been divided as far as black people as individuals having some success versus the plight of the community as a whole. And there are a lot of black people in the black community that have accepted that individualized idea of what America means to them. And they say, hey, I got it all right. I mean, this goes all the way back to slavery. This goes all the way back to setting a few blacks and giving them some positions and giving them something, and then using them as a buffer against the community as a whole to continue community oppression. So this is not Trump. This is America. And now we can debate about the percentage of black people that buy into this. I mean, I don't know what that percentage is per se, or what it will be when the Trump vote, when the final tally is done, what percentage of black people will vote for Trump. But there are black people that did not think that they were being used as pawns. They did not think that they were a part of the stage. They say, look, this guy and this thing and that thing that he's done has benefited me as a person, and I want to speak up for him. I mean, that element exists. We can't pretend that it doesn't to our detriment.
I didn't say it did now. I'm saying yeah.
Yeah, I think to Jamel's point, though, I think what is clear, though, even though we have seen it in America, we have not seen the blatant visualization of it to this degree. I mean, he has literally placed the disenfranchisement, if you will, of black people at the forefront, as if it is something that has benefited the black people. And I think even we can go back and talk about what each president or America has done in the past, but you have literally seen, he has literally put out there, for instance, when you talk about this whole economy thing, he literally blatantly went out there tonight and said, when he talked about the economy, he told them, and I quote, your stock market, your stock, he equated stock to, again, the economy. He told what he wasn't talking about. He was telling telling the white people who got the people who actually have the benefits of this country, listen, they're gonna mess up your money. They're gonna mess up your stock. He wasn't talking about, the soul of America and having black people. When he talked about the tax credit, when Ivanka Trump talked about how he made sure that the tax credit that goes for the children's tax credit, to a degree that was correct. But let's also be mindful. It also denied the rights of the $1,000 tax credit to over 26 million Americans as well. So even though $2,500 went into the pockets, they did not talk about that there's 26 million people who still didn't get that $1,000 credit. So then we're going to talk about the employment rate. You talk about the employment rate, but even at Trump's highest numbers, even at his rate now, he is still nothing compared to the unemployment rate of President Obama, where he was. And let's be also very clear, there was mismanagement or misunderstanding or miscalculations of the numbers of the unemployment rates. So when you were talking about that, he was always at least 1% or at least 1.5% over the amount that it really was. So again, tonight, we understand it's always been America, but we have never seen it as blatantly disrespectful in America than it has been under this administration. And it's our responsibility, it's our job to make sure that we call it out for what it is. We put the numbers out there and say, listen, we will not be your pawns. We will not be your tokens. We understand that some people have benefited under you, but it's not the America that we know. And we have to call it out and make it plain.
And I don't mind being challenged, but you're not going to challenge my intellect every single time. I don't mind you saying these are some things that you may want to think about, but to just challenge who I am as a knowledgeable person day in and day out, nothing about, and I do not want to overemphasize his power of persuasion, but I don't believe he's really persuading anybody. The idea that people are drawn to him because of economic woes has been proven to be a lie. What he is offering, friends, is Americana of old. What he is selling is a certain power structure of old. What he is preserving is what he claims that Democrats want all of. It's a power grab. You know, they say he projects. It's true. He's trying to preserve the power that they do have. That's the whole point of gerrymandering. It's the whole point of rigging elections right here in Georgia. I mean, what's so laughable is that everybody knows it's a running joke right now that Stacey Abrams is actually our governor. So again, I say it is not about him being persuasive or any of that. I don't think any of those people who call themselves conservative actually care one thing about money or conservative values or any of that. They're just trying to preserve their power. And whatever that takes, black tokens in tow, that's what it takes.
Yeah, but isn't that what both political parties want to do?
Gibbs, be more specific, because I would argue that
I mean, let's not pretend that Republicans care about power
in general. Politics in general. Yes, that is the whole point of politics. But what I'm saying to you, Charles, is this. You're not going to insult my intelligence on your way to your power grab. And I would much rather support the power that is going to at least do something for my people.
I mean, we think. We think. I mean, do we really have a track record?
So here's the thing.
The Democratic Party doing things.
Charles, I agree that both parties have issues. Both parties have people who are in it for selfish gain. But at the end of the day, we have to look at the ideological platform that we are being given and within the confines to work with. I saw someone today on Facebook, one of my frat brothers, and he had posted about picking the lesser of two evils. I told him what I thought about his post. I told him about how that is depressing, how that is a form of voter suppression, how it's hurting the black community. Before I told him, if you ever are a brother in need, you call me. But other than that, you don't speak to me ever again because you're unfriended. So don't look for me. You give a message to another brother when you need me, and I answer the call.
Charles, I couldn't be more
because I say that because every platform is selfish, but we have to stand behind and back the platform that backs us. And right now, we are faced with two choices that are very stark. You have right now black men getting shot in the back and gunned down in America. You have 17-year-old radicalized white vigilantes picking up guns to go and protect their communities that your president helped radicalize. His media machine, Fox News, helped radicalize, but yet they want to constantly talk about the radical left. We have this happening in America, and we have absolutely no acknowledgement of it from the leader of this country. But what we do have is a call to protect the suburbs. What we do have is a call to say Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. We have no choice but to either stand for that or stand for Joe Biden. So regardless of the power grab, the dynamics at play, we must vote in one way that's going to support our personal beliefs. And for me, there is no other option but the Democratic Party.
Okay, let's approach it from a couple of angles. Now, the problems that you describe,
come on, Rose,
are best dealt with in local and state elections. That's a fact. And the voter turnout of local elections is always the lowest. I mean, so when we're talking about these incidents, racist cops killing unarmed Black people, it is a systemic problem. Totally agree. But the president really doesn't have a whole lot to do with it, with the nuts and bolts of it. Yes, image and messaging are important, but we need to be voting for district attorney. We need to be voting for state attorney general. We need to be voting for governor. We need to be voting for mayor. We need to get on the school board. We need to get on the board of aldermen. We need to volunteer in our own communities. I mean, that's how we deal with the nuts and bolts of those situations.
Charles, I agree with you. I agree with you at one point in my life, until Donald Trump was elected. And let me give you some evidence to back it up. Donald Trump has the ability as president of the United States to appoint a cabinet that has sweeping reach in the daily lives of Americans. What was done under Bill Barr as Attorney General has completely, at this pivotal moment in American history, has completely undermined every single effort of the Black Lives Matter movement, and it's continued to do so. And we can talk about the power of local elections all day, but what you look at is, and I've learned this from the demands to arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor, and realizing they're never going to get arrested as long as Daniel Cameron sits in the Attorney General's chair. It clearly makes me realize that these problems go far beyond that state election. I'm just saying it goes far beyond us.
That's what I'm saying. Local and state.
It goes all the way from the top all the way down. Every single election matters because it sets a tone for our country at critical moments of crisis like this. We are in a moment of crisis. We are dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. If we would have had a president in the White House who would have acknowledged the severity of the virus, we would not have 180,000 dead, approaching 300,000 dead by December. If we would have had a president in the White House that didn't call it a hoax, if we would have had a president in the White House that said you could inject disinfectant, we would not be where we are today. If you had a president in the White House that actually supported the concept this country was founded on called democracy, we would have free speech. And so much of the turmoil that we've had occur right now that's ripping us apart as a nation possibly could have been very well contained. But that's not what we have.
All true, but a pandemic is more of a federal issue. The incidents that are happening, those are local and state issues. And so that's where the nuts and bolts of that issue is. I agree with that with president, it's messaging and its image. And clearly Trump not only sends the wrong messaging, but he goes even further and actually sends a sinister messaging. He sends a messaging that had, this 17-year-old white boy down on the front row in his January rally. They showed a picture of that today, that he was actually down on the front row of the Trump rally, adores Trump. I call him the Blue Lives Matter shooter. So we have the Blue Lives Matter shooter getting radicalized and traveling from Illinois into Wisconsin.
His mama brought
the horrific acts that he committed. So I agree Trump is a problem. I agree Trump must go. But my cynicism is more in line with the messaging that Ice Cube has been putting out. What are we getting out of this deal? And we really
have been reading lately
of that. It's more than just Trump must go. Like Ice Cube said in the message he put out today. Okay, we vote Trump out. Then what?
First of all, you can't say that and you haven't started at least 2 or 3 years out. You can't come to the table talking about what's going to happen after that, and you hadn't planned anything. I get it. You sat in your house.
I can melt for all I care. I am so.
Well, now let's not throw Ice Cube under the bus.
I mean,
Ice Cube belongs under the bus.
Listen.
You brought him up, and his plan for America is misogynistic and ignorant. Do you know he, by his own omission, said he didn't talk to one single black female thought leader in this country when he made his plan with his brothers? That's a part of the problem. That is a part of why so many heterosexual black men in America are being pulled away by Trump because of their misogyny and their belief that they're being held back by black women and gay people and every other marginalized group when they are just as marginalized as everybody else. Ice Cube is wrong to say that what he's doing is capitalizing on this moment. He is saying, you know what, I was the first one to say F the police with NWA, so let me give you an agenda. This man has absolutely no authority or ability to lay out one single agenda. There are people,
and he won't lay out he lays it out. I mean, you don't need authority to lay out an agenda.
But because he is a celebrity, we look at his agenda. I don't want to see his agenda. I read through that nonsense, and when I heard and saw that he did not solicit the support of one single black female, I threw that stuff in the trash.
Well, the thing is that you cannot
threw it away without reading
the negotiation table.
No, I read it, and then I did my research, and that's when I threw it in the trash.
Oh, okay. All right.
I just don't think you can come to the table this late and say, this is what I demand, or if this is what I want. I think that work has to be laid down earlier and then bring it into even now, he can take that plan that he has with whoever is elected and say, can you do something with this plan? But what you can't do at this very late stage is come and try to turn over the tables. It's not going to work. And I just want to go back to an earlier point and say this about the lesser of two evils argument. Whenever you are in a voting situation, an election of any magnitude, be it SGA president or president of the United States, somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. And a lot of times the person that you are aligned more with loses on the way to that election. So then you have to realign with the person who's closest to you. What I don't like is this weirdness around the lesser of two evils. No, it's the person that is more in line with your ideals, the things that you want and all of this. So I get it that both parties do this, do that, third. I get it. But every single election, somebody is going to win and somebody is going to lose.
And if you add to that, if you just add to that, and if you want to take that, you have to think about it. And I think Zack mentioned a couple of days ago, unfortunately, the Republicans, this last go round, the Republicans 4 years ago had about 28,000 people on the stage, and they eventually had to narrow it down to somebody. And at the end of the day, every single one of them talked negative about Donald Trump. Every single one of them talked about how great, horrible he was, this, and this. Every single one of them. However, now they're all singing his praises. Why? Is because it was about party. It was about the Republican Party. They knew that at the end of the day, it was about our party. Fast forward 2020.
Both parties are all about party.
50, not necessarily. Because of the fact we now, not both parties about party, because right now, 2020, Democratic Party, now we're having a fight between, here we are, this conversation around, well, are you progressive enough? And who are the progressive? It's the AOC party versus the Bernie party versus the Biden party, and we're the Democratic Party. So no, it has not always been about party.
It is. I got a prime example of what I'm saying. Look at Kamala Harris. Look at what she said about Biden. And now she's running. What I'm trying to
express this, though, is that in 2020, here we are, that when we talk about the lesser of two evils, the problem that we're dealing with now is we could potentially lose an election because of the fact that the Democratic Party is sitting here at this moment of unprecedented timing, thinking like, well, if it's not, if you don't specifically give us this, if you don't specifically give us this, we're not going to vote for him. At the end of the day, it's about what are we going to do to maintain and sustain the party that we know. And the party it should put party over the politic of it. And unfortunately, that's what happens. Now, Charles, you go ahead and break that all down.
I mean, both sides do that.
Yeah. But I'm talking about, I ain't talking about both sides in the right now.
You know what? I'm not
talking about now. We're talking about Kamala Harris as Joe Biden's running mate now.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about now. But it criticized him for being racist, for working with segregationists in the 1970s.
Actually, that's not what she said.
That's not accused him of sexual assault. Now she's his running mate.
But first of all, that's a stretch. That's a stretch.
Same thing. I mean,
that's a stretch because if you think about it,
that's not a stretch at all. People that are not partisan can see that. I'm just making a common sense point. All I said was both sides do it.
No,
both sides do it. That's true.
So that's the problem.
And you can admit that and still support Biden Harris.
But I think what I'm thinking, the difference is, but here's the difference. Here's the difference. The way you're talking is yes, because if you think about it, Biden was not necessarily a fan of Obama either, but he was his running mate. But that's not where we're going. What we're saying is because you say all I'm doing, that's fine. But Biden also, what's the man named Trump? Trump didn't choose one of his opponents to be his vice president. He didn't choose those individuals. And in Trump's America, if you don't agree with him, he cancels you. If you don't agree with him, he puts you out. You ain't seen not one time on the Democratic side, if you don't agree with him, they put you out. They throw you out. What we have, though, is that we try to find a way to unify. But unfortunately, where we're sitting right now on the Democratic side is we're sitting in a place where it's, if you don't give us this, we don't know if we can vote for you. That is not the Republican side right now. And what we have to do on the Democratic side is make sure that we put the facts out there. It's not the lesser of two evils. It's like, listen, you know what's going to be for you. You know what's going to be against you. That's your only choice. It's not about the lesser of two evils. You have what's for you and what's against you.
If you say so, but I'm here to tell you that that's not the message that's going to sell, that's going to win this election for Joe Biden. That's not the winning message. I know that that's the angle that you passionately agree with and you passionately promote that. But that's not the angle that's gonna get rid of Trump.
So let me say this much, Zach. I know but let me say this much about what will win and what will lose. Okay. So the numbers, we talked about data and we talked about stats before. We talked about that, right? So while Hillary Clinton actually won the numbers, we could do a couple of things around the Electoral College. So while I hear Charles saying that's not going to win it, I would submit, hold on, friend. I would submit to you that what will actually win it is certain people in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Florida. It matters what they think more so than it matters what middle America thinks. There's only 7 or 8 true battleground states. Those are the things that matter. Joe only needs to flip 3. So while you're over here, hold on, friend. So while you're saying this ain't gonna work, this, and the numbers do not support your argument right now. So maybe when the polls change in those battleground states by 9 to 10 points in some cases, then I might say that argument is not going to work. But what we're not going to do is base these assertions that we have on feelings, because that's the way we like to receive information. That's what we're not going to do.
Okay, and to give rebuttal to that, the Electoral College is what elected Trump.
Right.
And those particular states, that's precisely my position, is that making the whole, these are the facts, let's contextualize the numbers, that's not a winning message. Trump won.
Michigan
states that have voted Democrat since Ronald Reagan. I'm talking about the 1980s. These states have been blue since the 1980s. These states voted for Obama twice.
2 times.
They flipped to Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why they flipped to Trump, and President Obama tried to point this out to Hillary's campaign, and also President Clinton, former President Clinton, tried to point this out to Hillary's campaign, that you're forgetting about the Rust Belt, you're forgetting about the working white males that feel neglected and disenchanted about what's going on here, and you're not paying them enough. And her campaign took those states for granted, said, well, we're not going to lose those states. And those are the states that ended up denying her the Oval Office. Those are the people that Joe has to go and win back. And he's going to do that by making them feel. This is all about feeling.
He's not going to get that vote.
Making them feel like they're not forgotten, making them feel like they matter, making them feel like I'm going to do this for your job. I'm going to do a middle class tax cut. I'm going to do this for you. That's who he's got to be, because that's what's going to turn Pennsylvania back into a Democratic state. That's what's going to win back Wisconsin and Michigan. Those are the three states that lost it for Hillary. And win it for Joe if he takes his case to that white middle class.
He's not going to get those votes. Stop it.
Obama
is not going to get those.
Obama got the votes.
He's not going to get those votes.
They voted for Obama.
The true margin of what happened in those states. The
vote for Joe.
The true margin of what happened in those states, friends, was that people did not vote to the same level. It wasn't that people voted for somebody else, because you had some what they call Obama Trump voters. Like, people did that, but the true margin is around the people who did not vote, because either they felt no need to, they weren't compelled to, their vote was suppressed and depressed, and they had become victims of Russian propaganda, and they decided not to give Hillary their vote. I do recall one Michael Render saying, don't give anybody your vote. Just don't vote at all. While he was just talking, because I love to hear Killer Mike talk. Like, I love to hear him talk. But while he was just talking, he was actually suppressing the vote. So, sir, what actually happened was folks did not vote in those three. So his job is to turn out the vote.
Mm-hmm. Well, how did he do that?
But here's the also thing. I think what happens is you start comparing apples to oranges, because when you think about 2016 to 2020, you're also talking about a white woman was on the ballot, and now you have a white man who's on the ballot. There were people who were gung-ho about not voting for a woman. There is still a sexist society in this country. And there were people who were just not going to vote for her, and it's just what it was. It was just, and because if you think about it, there was people who didn't like her husband. There were people who didn't like where she stood on certain issues. So again, you're talking about a white man in America who still at the same time has a little more clout than a white woman in America. And so at the end of the day, I don't think that the way you're, and I think you also, Trump unfortunately pulled out these people who finally saw themselves in the unconventional America. And so what we're dealing with right now is, as it was just said, he's going to have to pull out. He's not just going to get it because Biden had it. Because Obama had it. Because again, but Obama was a totally different phenomenon. He was a totally different situation.
Like I said, he was a historic candidate.
And for this reason, now Biden is going to have to now come out and draw these votes again. Because again, 4 years ago, people was like, I'm not voting for her because she's Hillary or she's this. I'm tired of this establishment. I'm tired of this. So now he has to literally go back and hopefully bring those individuals in Michigan, in Wisconsin, in Ohio. Because if he needs to win Michigan, Wisconsin, and Ohio. Those are the three bases that he has to win. And I do believe he has it, but he has to make sure that we get out to vote. And so I think that's going to be key.
Period.
That's going to be key.
Period. You got to vote.
You got to vote.
I'm worried about Biden in Pennsylvania. I'm worried about Biden in Ohio. I did see the comment about Goodyear. I hope that makes a difference, but I am worried about those two states. I'm worried about Wisconsin. I feel Michigan is solid. Michigan's solidly going to go blue. I think that Trump has a chance to flip Minnesota. We're going to know a lot more by Sunday. If there is any boost to be had, it will be had by Sunday, and we will know very solidly from 5:30. Is it 5:38?
Yeah, podcast 5:30.
The pollsters. we will know by Sunday to what extent the Republican National Convention, or as I call it again, the Trumplican National Convention, was able to give Trump a boost. It was really rich. It was disappointing that the Tuesday night numbers were higher for Melania than Monday. So I thought we now have a spike.
That was us though, Zach. We wanted to see if she was going. That was us.
People wanted to see what Melania was going to do, because last night was one of the lowest rating nights of any convention in history. So ratings dropped drastically for Mike Pence. Senator Kamala Harris drew 6 million more viewers on her night than what Mike Pence drew on his night. Tonight will be the telltale. I think that Donald Trump went on way too long.
70 minutes.
It was excessive. So we're going to see to what extent that has an impact. And we'll know what the battlegrounds are showing. Here is what I think is also going to be pretty factual as we approach the elections, that more people are going to die of COVID-19. More people are going to contract COVID-19. More schools are going to open and shut down because of COVID-19. And I think if the Democrats really, unfortunately, hone in on that macabre message, it's going to play well in their favor. In addition to that, I think that the Democrats have done an excellent job of fundraising this past 2 weeks, and I think they're going to continue to do so. And it's time to put that money to good use, because it's time for some really strong Joe Biden ads to take to the airwaves in those battleground states.
Come through Lincoln Project.
Come through Lincoln Project.
Oh yeah, I mean, the Lincoln Project's doing great work.
Free project, and they just hired, Michael Steele. DeAndre, what is the biggest lie that you found of the night? Because we don't want to stay on too long, because it's late as late can be.
Let's see, shall
Look who it is.
I said, let's see. Yeah. Right. I'm like, let's see here. You may have to come back to me, because there's just pages of them. It'll be a combination. You know what? It'll be a combo of two. The first thing is, this conversation around Joe Biden being the candidate of selection by China, and them wanting China. But again, you have to understand, in essence, China actually wants Trump. And if you think about it, I don't even necessarily trust that his relationship with China is not still a good relationship, because Trump was just a couple of moments ago saying that he was transparent, that he was a hard worker, and that the relationship, man, you were also just in a deal with China before everything went down. Mm-hmm. And so my whole thing about this is, you're trying to say, it's almost like you're trying to shift blame. Again, you're playing the hands, like you're trying to shift it to make everybody feel like you're mad at China, this is this, but you're underhandedly still doing stuff with China, just like you did with the Iran nuclear deal, which, by the way, was actually started in 2015 under the Obama administration. You just actually benefited from it, which also deals with the economy, the unemployment. All those things were started originally under, which, by the way, the only reason why he would have gotten, I'm just trying to finish it up, the only reason why he would have gotten those terrorists and ISIS and things of that nature, if Obama didn't start everything with Osama bin Laden, then with all those other individuals. So all the stuff that you did when the president before you were pulling out troops and ending wars before you were. So again, it was a lie after lie after lie, but everything that he stated, unfortunately, was started under the administration he was. And unfortunately, because we had a president who couldn't do another 4 years, it was hopefully your job to continue it. Some of the things that the former president just had. So again, the work that you did was just more so a kudos to the president, and by the way, the vice president who is running for president. And so we thank you for that as well. So no lies, but it was just also a kudos to our president.
So we have had, it's been DeAndre, we've had 2 weeks of this. It's always great to end with a big guest. We had to bring in the all-stars, and Charles, I always appreciate, a different voice and different perspective, because I think it's important that we really think of, because I think you made some great points, right? Like, I think it's important for us to think things through, to think about how is it that other people see these candidates. I don't see Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as just politics as usual. They inspire hope in me, but I do recognize that's not the case for everybody in America. And and from what I've seen on my timeline, unfortunately, it's not the case for many of my, Black male friends. So, and this is the question, Charles.
Yeah.
It's not everybody, but Jermal, it's enough people to concern me. And
oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely
enough. I am seeing enough. I am seeing enough Black men saying they're not vote. Every day I find another Black man post that pops up where he says, "I'm not going to vote. I'm not voting." Period. And that is to me what Donald Trump wants more than anything else.
I said
last night, I don't believe that he rolled out these Black people to get Black votes. If he gets a few of them, he's cool with that. But he really rolled the Black people out to tell white people, you see, I'm not racist. They say I'm racist, so you can feel good about voting for me because I'm not racist. They're lying on me. This is a misrepresentation by the liberal media. That's what that was. Those Black people were for white people. So they could feel better about their decision to vote for Donald Trump. Because
Absolutely. And that was evident by a statement that I guess if we were playing a drinking game, we'd all get drunk. But I wanted to play a drinking game on that line. I know racism and I know Donald Trump. And
right. Well, you got to add up from the South. You got to add up from the South too, Charles.
Every Black speaker said a variation of that line.
Biden said that I'm not Black if I don't vote for him.
Wasn't every single Black speech. But I mean, to be fair, Biden hurt himself by making comments like that. So of course that's gonna be used. But the problem that Biden has had has been an enthusiasm problem. And the last poll indicated that 64% of Trump supporters were enthusiastic to go vote for Trump, down to almost half, that 37% for Biden. Biden has an enthusiasm problem amongst his potential voters. And I think that that's the biggest concern. That's the biggest red flag going into this. And I don't know, they're going to do another excitement poll. Those are the ones that I'm looking at. And I don't know how much Kamala help that number go up. Yeah. I'm sure that it's going to go up some.
No, it's helped a lot. It's already been done, Charles. And let me tell you the evidence. Here's evidence.
And that's his biggest
piece of evidence number one was that the night that Joe Biden announced Kamala as his VP, he broke fundraising records. That was sign number one. That Democrats are excited about Senator Kamala Harris. Sign number two was the fact that 6 million more people tuned in to watch Kamala Harris because they wanted to know what she was going to say, how she was going to perform, and what she was going to do. And then the sentiment after that was exceptionally high. I look at Twitter every night before I go to bed. People absolutely love Senator Kamala Harris. The only group of people that I see any criticism from are Black men. That's it. And racist. Other than that, everybody is supporting her. She was
criticism from Black women too of Kamala. Her black bona fides have been debated in depth all over social media. And
you know what?
Which is problematic.
I don't see it as problematic because I know if we were to go somewhere together, we would be seen as equals, period. Okay. I know that. And what I want folks to actually really grapple with is what Zack just said. The people who are opposed to her are racist and Black men. Okay. Who is being targeted as the pickoffs in this race? We can pick them off and at least either keep them from coming to vote or bring them over to our side. So I want us to be more like, I heard somebody use the word before, not voting is not a strategy for change. If you're going to do anything, be strategic with the vote you have. Do that. Strategize around getting folks in that come closer, maybe not even closer to what you want, and then do something about it. You're not going to get anywhere not voting for Trump except for getting Trump.
Yeah, but at the same time, people listen to that and they say, well, that's said every election cycle.
Be smarter.
every election cycle. And so people are fed up with the rhetoric.
Be smarter.
Saying, what are we getting for our vote? Your vote, especially the vote of Black people. I mean, this is my position anyway. That the vote of Black people should be a quid pro quo arrangement. What is the Black community getting out of this vote? And which one of these two tickets is going to do the most for the Black community as a whole? And I think that there is no denying the fact that the potential is with the Biden-Harris ticket on that, as opposed to the Trump-Pence ticket. But we don't have anything concrete or laid out, or we don't have anything promised. And so I think that that's also another drawback.
You don't have anything promised by who?
We don't have any promises by Biden-Harris as it pertains to items on a Black agenda.
Don't do that, friend.
We do.
Don't do that, friend.
Don't do what?
We have a whole
He's had an agenda since before he was the nominee, friend.
Don't do what?
I posted it. Charles, don't worry. Brother, don't worry. Guess what? I haven't seen it. I have it. I have it for you. I'm going to tag you. I wrote the whole plan. I have a whole summary of the plan for anybody who didn't want to read the whole plan. Okay, so I posted that on my Facebook back in early July. I will tag you. I did that. You know what? I did several posts about it.
And I've been reading everything.
Yeah, and you can.
In fact, I named it after a while. I get emails from Biden's campaign. I get them straight to my inbox. I haven't seen anything, so I mean, please.
Even on the Republican side, you can tell that Blacks are dispensable on the Black side because of the fact that here you are 4 nights and not one time was Herman Cain mentioned on his time. Not one time ultimately, you can tell that what I'll do is I'll just find me some new Black people. And so that's all you saw tonight. We're new Black people to try to fill the space. Not one time was a man who has been his champion, not just Republican Party, but for him was not one time was he not mentioned at his convention. So let's be very clear. These are things you want to say. You want to tell a Black man, okay, well, you want to hold your vote? Well, clearly your Black man, this man doesn't care about men who even endorsed him and work with him. So again, I don't agree that. Simply put, it's our job to get out there and tell the people it's either this or it's this. At the end of the day, let's get out there and vote. You clearly see that you want to talk about we're not safe in Biden's America. We're dang on it. We're not even safe in his America right now. So right now, I'm sure we can do better than we have right now.
Yeah.
At this point. So we can talk it all day. We can talk about the narrative. We can talk about the quid pro quos and everything else. But we living in 2020 where we are still having a young man who can carry a rifle, walk down the street after a man is on the video telling you that this man just killed somebody. They're asking him questions with tanks, walking past him. We still live in America where the man who was the lawyer for what's that boy's name? Nick Sandsman is now taking that young man's taking his defense pro bono. We live in that kind of America where they still do that kind of stuff. So for me, right now, it's about voting. I don't care how else we can talk about it. Vote, and that's all I got. This vote.
Vote and see. That's the message. and I don't know if that's enough.
We didn't see Diamond and Silk too. You're right. We ain't see the twins. We ain't see none of them.
They done with Diamond and Silk.
No. You're not gonna see Cuban zirconia and polyester.
None of them.
I call them Cuban.
I know why too.
Polyester.
Let me tell you why. He really wanted to, because they have become the divisive mouthpiece of his party. He didn't want them there for the negativity that they bring to the table.
Yep,
so
that's why he wanted
to roll out a whole new type of Negro for America to see during this convention, and that's what he did. That's what he did.
He's going after the new Negro.
He wanted Negro.
Yes, he wanted the new Negro. But it's going to be effective in some precincts. I know you disagree with the messaging and the way.
I agree.
But
That
it's
is
going to
my
be
fear.
effective in some precincts. I think it was a smart move to leave out the Candace Owenses of the world and to leave out cubic zirconia and polyester in their minstrel show act.
The
I
two
think that was
raisins
a
in
great
milk.
idea.
But yet you didn't think, oh, glory, hallelujah, Jesus, I got out the prison system. You don't think that was not getting, you don't think that wasn't a minstrel show? You
But
don't
guess
think
what?
Vernon
It
Jones,
was.
and you want to believe that I'm not, you got all these, no, it's just
I mean,
that
you got some folks
it
that
just
are
changed
genuinely
the way
grateful
they
that they
did
are
it.
out of prison.
It was
and
still
thank
minstrel.
President Trump for that.
Yeah, it
And
was still a
I
minstrel
think
show.
that mocking them is a mistake.
Yeah. I think putting them up there as a display was a mistake. Putting them up there to show that we think
It wasn't a mistake to Trump.
Mocking them is a mistake. That's not going to.
I don't think I'm not mocking it. I'm putting out there that this is what we see. So at the end of the day,
you were kind of making fun of them, though.
Okay, but I have a president who out there talk about people who are disabled. We have a president out there who is talking about black people.
I'm not here to defend Donald Trump.
I'm not mocking them. I'm not mocking. I'm sitting there putting out here. No, it's not a mock. It's a blatant disrespect and a show of ignorance. I'm not mocking. What I'm saying is, however, is at the end of the day, we have people who are putting on a show. And at this point, we don't have time to be putting on shows in ignorance because that's what it is. It's blatant ignorance.
That's not going to win them for your
side. And I think this is the thing. We know that it's ignorant, but the point is Donald Trump, he did it for an effect and for a separate agenda.
He deals in ignorance.
That's right.
He deals in ignorance. DeAndre is right, and this is weird, but also Charles is right. The ignorant
weird.
Ignorant folks like ignorant things, and they don't have to think their way out of anything because they are led by somebody they believe is telling the truth, even in the face of facts and evidence. They don't deal in facts and evidence, they deal in ignorance. So Charles has a point, but what smart folks who say they are learned, and folks who say that they actually read need to do is follow what DeAndre has said. Just simply vote for who you align closest with. You ain't got to like him. You ain't got to be enthused. You simply have to vote for your own interest. Point blank, period.
But the problem is that what is happening now is a confusion of those interests. Donald Trump laid out a whole entire week of lying about what he believes in, what he's done, what
American values,
so that people will vote against their interests, thinking that he is for their interests. And that's what also makes me afraid.
I didn't hear where they talked about any policy or anything that they were going to actually do. So I didn't hear anything.
There was none of that. And that's okay.
But they didn't need to do that.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So
you're right.
I mean, look at the 2016 election. Trump didn't get elected talking policy. He had a bunch of platitudes and catchphrases, and it was like empty rhetoric. Trump
and things that he didn't do.
The wall.
So he doesn't need to do it now.
About the wall.
Talk about the wall. Mexico can pay for it. Tell some lies about the wall. Make people afraid of him.
We talk about getting rid of Obamacare. Talk about
letting babies live.
Yeah. So he had
repeal and replace. We're gonna repeal and replace.
But that's policy.
Repeal and replace. And I mean, these people don't need policy arguments. They are living in a post-fact America. They're living in a post-fact America. It's all about alternative facts. It's all about narrative, image, and how it makes you feel. This is how you get up here with three-word slogans and make everybody go crazy. Woo woo! I mean, all he got to do is sit up there and say, "We're gonna build the wall," and everybody goes bananas.
Right.
But you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful because you're mocking them.
Coronavirus.
You're mocking them. You gotta be careful. You mocking them.
Here's the thing.
He mocked.
You can mock Donald Trump. It's okay to mock Donald. You can mock Donald
Trump. Mocking pastors tonight. He was actually mocking pastors tonight. his whole cadence and delivery was supposed to be that in the style of a preacher or a pastor. You could hear him elongate last words. He looked around for last word emphasis. He was absolutely mocking pastors and trying to invoke that cadence today, which I also consider an insult. Now, Bill Clinton had it down pat. Obama tried to do it because his favorite thing to do is to hold on to the word "and" way too long, but he really tried it tonight with the whole pastor's cadence because he needs that to bring back his evangelical vote, or to secure, I should say, his evangelical vote.
He said Biden's name 41 times in his speech. He said Biden's name 41 times. Biden said Trump's name.
Zero. That's a plus. Here's the thing: these conventions are not necessarily about policies. So when I even heard last week people attacking the DNC for not being policy heavy, that's not what the convention that we see televised has ever done. The policy comes in the platform. That's what you get. And luckily, the DNC gave you a platform the week before the convention, and Joe Biden married the platform into his platform that's on his website. That's how it's supposed to work. The danger in what we have that happened this week is I didn't expect to hear policy from Donald Trump. I expected it to be a big campaign rally as it was. I didn't think it was going to be this heavy of a campaign rally with this many untruths. But the problem is I can't go to the RNC website and see a platform. They didn't give us one. There literally, for the first time in American history, is no platform for one of the two major parties in the United States of America. Guess
what? Nobody noticed it.
I noticed it
because they talked about a Russia platform this year.
Because you're a political junkie. The average people don't even know what's on the platform. They don't know what's on the website.
Well, let me tell you, in the same way I wrote down on the Biden platform to share with everybody on my Facebook page, I was going to do 2 weeks of posts on the Republican platform. I was preparing myself to lay out posts, and I couldn't do it. There's a letter that the Republican National Committee released saying that we are not going to have, our platform is simply to reelect Donald Trump because everything that he has done is the right thing for America. I will post the letter tomorrow. Everybody, we have had
now.
We've had a great week. We are definitely going to come back together. We will have Brother Charles. We will have Sister Riggins, and of course, DeAndre and I. So we will come back to you. It will not be this late, but it will be probably on like a Sunday afternoon or not like your time, like Bible study, Charles, but like probably before that or like midday, where we will discuss big events at least once a month, because I really do feel as though this is a very productive push to educate all. The main thing that we can take away is to vote. Everybody, we will see you guys all soon. Thank you so much and have an awesome weekend. Right. Look at my hair. It got cut today by accident. I'm very disappointed. I have not been so devastated in a long time.
I paid attention to that. I just paid attention to that.
Well, but it grows back, so.
Yeah, it was about 3 years of growth was cut out today. 3 years of me growing my hair. So it was
one of those Steve Harvey pieces, with the perfect line.
I really need one. So we will see. Jermal, you can text me some hair growth tips. Can't nothing help mine.
I mean, I need some hair growth tips too. What about me?
Charles, it might be too late for
Charles, I'm normally like you because this right here is thinning. So I've been trying to grow it back. I just need to probably let it go. Cause I'm normally like you, but yeah.
Have a good night, y'all. It's been great. Thank you.
Have a good night. Enjoy it, everybody.
Good night, guys.
Take care.